Hello,
Hello,
and welcome
and
to
what
the episode of
episode
Mindset Monday.
mindset?
It's a
It's a
wonderful
wonderful
Monday,
today,
July
July
22nd,
20th,
2024.
2024.
I hope you
I
had
hope
a
you had a
wonderful,
wonderful,
spectacular
spectacular
day
day
and
and
looking
looking
forward to
forward to
sharing these
sharing
few
these
moments with
moments
you
with you
as
as
we
we
continue with
continue
our
with
month.
our own.
Prepare for
Prepare
your
for your
It's another
It's
day
another
that
day
we
that
will
we
share
share
the
the
information that we
information that
have,
we have,
and
and
I realize
I
there's an
realize there's
echo
an
in my
echo in my
background. Let me
background.
see
Let
if
me
I
see
can
if I
deal with
can
that.
deal with
Just
that.
one
Just one
moment.
more.
Okay, let's see if that takes care of it. Awesome. All right. So we are here to share with you prepare for your wealth. And since the month began, we've been dealing with different aspects of preparing for wealth. We talk about the mindset of wealth. We talk about we were created with the abilities, the potential. We came here packed. We talk about the little things we can do consistently to make sure that we're on the path of wealth. And of course, that mindset, consciously doing things to keep our minds sharp, to keep our minds healthy, will will allow us or will help us, will aid us in this whole wealth building process. And just to remind us that wealth is not only about money, but money or financial, the financial status, it's a part of the wealth, but wealth begins from the mind. Today, we're going to look at another aspect of prepare for your wealth, and we're going to look at budgeting. And might I say, budgeting is from the very minute to the very, if you want to look at a huge scale, on a countrywide basis or a worldwide basis. So, we're going to look at where we start from a child, then an college, then adulthood, then retirement. And of course, we want to make sure that we leave nothing out of the picture because wherever, whatever season of life you're in, whatever stage you are in, there is a purpose for budgeting. And that's how we prepare for wealth. That's how we're able to save something, invest something, and make sure that we are also giving back something, being a philanthropist. Because for the most part, we're all here to share what we were given or to share what we were allowed to be stewards of. Because we really don't own anything. We were given what we have, using our potential, using our expertise God has given us, and then we amass wealth, whether mental, physical, financial, spiritual, and we're here to share with others our wealth. Today we have a wonderful lady. You've seen her before, and she will be sharing with us one of our favorite topics, budgeting. And if we are able to budget properly, we'll be able to take care of our families, we'll be able to go on a little vacation, we'll be able to enjoy others' company, and we'll also be able to give back something for what we were given stewardship of, or we were allowed to be stewardship of. So we have Jennifer Cantando who will be sharing with us today, and she will be just pouring out her all. So she will share with us where she will start from, and then we'll take it from there. Hi, Jennifer. Thank you for joining us again in this one with this wonderful topic, this exciting topic. You know, I'm excited about this, right? Because I
Yes,
always talk about my piggy bank, and all my uncle tells me that I'm a thief. And so that delayed gratification, in as much as it was just a small amount, I still have my little bank account in Jamaica, a Jamaica National. I don't know how much is in it, but this started from I was 10 years old, and now I'm 50. How old am I again? 56 years old. So that tells you how budgeting can be long lasting if we're able to maintain that, or if we're able to be good steward of the little thing, the little monetary contributions we get until we're adult. We're able to take care of more. As an accountant, I'm able to manage other people's money. And so when the wealth expands financially, of course, mentally, I'm able to manage stuff. When the wealth comes, I'm able to manage, and I'm able to share with others what God has entrusted to me. So thank you, and over to you.
absolutely, Miriam, and thank you. And you look great for your age. I can't believe that you're in your 50s because you are just amazing. And I always love doing these with you. So hello everyone. We are so glad we are here with you today and bring you some great information. And like Miriam said, it starts with you know um, really saving as a child and teaching our children how to save, right? So we're so glad to be here on Mindset Monday and bringing you a little bit about budgeting and growing money and saving money, right? Because with one comes the other, right? We want to make sure that we budget money so we have it in the right places and the right accounts, doing what we want for it. And it's so important to have a good relationship. And I think that I've gone over this many a times that it starts with the relationship with money. And when you're a child, that's the first time that you are exposed to, oh, money gets me something, right? Right, Miriam? You want that big shiny something, and
Yes,
as a child, how can I get it, right? Mom, dad, I want it. And it's okay as a baby, it's okay because mom and dad will just give that to you, right? But as we get older and we start developing that money, just like accountability, right? How we do if we're good, maybe we are uh, have chores, we get money. What are we going to do with it, right? So it's so important that we expose our children to it. And what I see a lot of parents do, and I am so guilty of this, and I've been better at it, and it kind of hurts me because I hate to see my 8-year-old go into her piggy bank or go into her money to spend something for herself, right? But it also gives her idea. How are we supposed to teach our children about money if they don't know the value of money? If they haven't worked and saved and realized that toy I want is going to give up everything in my savings account, and now I'm going to have to do this over again, right?
that's
But
right.
I also believe that there's two ways of saving. And if you get this down as a child, and if you're teaching this to your children, they can start that relationship with money in a healthier way, right? So the first thing I would say is that your child should have two savings accounts or two ways to save, right? And you should have this account with them and you should talk to them about it. We are going to have two accounts for you, honey, son, daughter, whoever you're talking to, whether you're a grandparent or a parent or an aunt or an uncle, really. Sit down with them and say, you know what? We're going to have a savings account put aside for you to save money to get what you want. That could be immediate gratification, and that could be something that they want that's a little bigger. They can save a little longer, right? And so, if you teach them one savings account is going to save money and grow money, and we're going to watch it grow, right? And it might not be a savings account, it might already be an investment. And don't be afraid to start investing for your children at a young age. That's the best way to show them how money grows, right? Because nothing gets somebody more excited than watching their money grow. I put in this money, They put in that money, and now we're compounding our money, compounding our efforts in that money. So when you are a child and you see that, okay, there's an account that I can go and get something I want right away, or I might have to save a little, and that's okay. Clara and I, we do lemonade stands for her, so she can already see, money and what people, the worth of what she's doing and what comes from it, right? So she's a little entrepreneur. I'm already setting on their path of just, providing a service, and people love lemonade stands, right? They're so excited to see kids out there doing it, right? They might give us a 10 or a 20 because they're so happy to see her. That's not realistic, right? But it still gets money in her hands, so she knows how to utilize it. So when we do go, and now this is funny because my daughter understands the value of money, is that when I tell her, no, we're not going to the movies, or no, no, we're not going to do that. And she says, well, can I treat? I don't know if you hear a lot of kids saying that, but and that's where I'm like, maybe I'm onto something. Maybe I'm already starting something with my daughter that is going to reap these benefits of her, having a good relationship with money. Because, like I said before, my first, basically was having my first relationship with money was like having a credit card that my dear mom handed over to me. And so I think as parents, we're like, we want to give our children everything. We were deprived. But a lot of these people that I talked to that were deprived as a child are actually amazing people. And they worked hard, and they got what they have because they were hard and they knew the value of money. So they really shortchanged their children in thinking that they shouldn't have to work so hard for their money because we did. But sometimes it is a disservice because your kids should, I'm not saying they have to work as hard as you or anything like that, because we have a learning curve. We know what to do and what not to do, right? But I make it fun if we do go sell lemonade. We have a lemonade tree, and man, sometimes it goes to waste. We yield hundreds of lemons, and it gives her an idea of, if I want money, I know how to control that. I can go do a lemonade stand. I could go do something to make money. I could go wash the car. She's already understanding providing a service will give her money. So at a young age, Clara will has a relationship with that. So I'm seeing more of, I'm not going to pay for it. Well, mommy, I want it. Can I pay for it?
Wow.
Sometimes it's yes, sometimes it's no, but because it's not about money, it's about time, or what it is. Or sometimes it's like, yeah, if you want this, you should be paying for it. So last weekend, it was maybe 2 weekends ago, she took me and her friend out to the movies on money that she got for her birthday. Now Clara has a couple accounts. She has one with her grandparents, and she has an account here, an account there, and then she has cash. But it's just really it's already putting it, my daughter's diversifying her money, right? So when she has money, there's going to be money she puts away. There's going to be money that, is accessible to her. There's money in accounts, and there's money that she's just going to enjoy watching grow, right? That she doesn't need to touch. So I say, as a child, budgeting is very important, and seeing, because they need to know the value of a dollar, and they need to know it depreciates. They need to know it's not the same anymore. That prices are going up when they're understanding how, and she knew, we went to the movies and she spent a lot of money, and she realized this took a lot of my money, so she's understanding entertainment and everything like that. It costs a lot. So I'm proud to say that she's understanding, and she might not take us to the movies for a while, but she got popcorn and soda, and she was more than willing to, but she realizes that it goes pretty fast, and that's the relationship that I want to show her. Go ahead, Miriam. Do you have something to say?
you know I'm like the student, the little girl that has the account. So I want to ask this question, the little girl mind. Now I see Dr. Lauren Bartley. She said it's good to teach our children from early about money management, especially the difference between debits and credits. Now I don't know if I'm gonna be asking too early, but I'm the little girl who wants to save money, and I allow you, and I took you to the movies and my money is depleted somewhat, and then I'm going to ask, what is the difference between debits and credits? If you weren't going to do that now, you could do that later. But I just want to ask, since it jumps out right there.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we even asked the audience too for what they believe that, debt and credit is, and showing them their money and what it looks like. And that's making sure that you're taking that they know how much is coming in and how much is going out,
Mm-hmm.
right? They know how much they had and they know how much they have now. And that can be with what they receive and what we're starting with, and as it's depleting, we're not getting any more credit. There is nothing else. But that's why it's good to diversify with your kids, because then they have accounts that they do have credited, right? It's so important that when they get that money that they're able to hold it and they have it accessible to them. But on the other hand, we do want accounts that are going to credit them, right? Instead of take away, we want to just add that to them. And as we go into, I'm going to talk about college debt and we're going to talk about adulting. And I think we're really going to learn about debt, right? We're going to really learn about credits and debts and accounts that will give you money. I think it's important, Miriam, at a young age for these kids to understand that there are investments out there that will give you money on your money. And that's what's really important for them to see, that their money is making money, because they don't understand that. I sit down with a lot of adults that don't understand about compound interest, and they were never exposed to it. They know how credit works against them. They just don't know how compound interest works for them. Therefore, their money really never grows. And then they skip, as they get older and over every decade, they're just missing out on money growing for them. And it really hurts them, because sometimes by the time I sit down with somebody, we've missed a lot of money that could have gone to growing it. I hope that answered your question.
Yes. So I'm just going to ask a question just to clarify. And so that means every time when I get my allowance and I put it in my account, that's a credit. So it goes up, right? And
Yes,
then when I took money out of it to take you and my friend to the movie, so that's a debit. So it goes down.
yes,
Okay. So that means for the debits is a withdrawal and the credit is an input. Ah,
yes,
thank you.
yes,
Awesome,
yes.
awesome,
And
awesome.
if you have it in a savings account for the bank, you'll see a little tiny nickel maybe come in once in a great while, right?
Interest, right? That is why Dr. Lauren Bartlett, she made sure to um, take our advice when we had that podcast, sharing with us the high yield savings account, and she has her money now working for her, which of
Yes.
course you'll allude to as we go through the process of
Yes,
budgeting.
yes, absolutely. And I didn't forget you, Anne Marie. I had to go to Las Vegas for a convention, so we will sit down and talk. And it's so good to see you here. I appreciate you and all your great input, and always on the chat, just giving us encouragement. So to Queen Anne Marie, looking forward to meeting you one on one. But yes, absolutely. When you're looking at the debits and that, and yes, she did. Oh, in her instance, she had the cash from a birthday. We didn't necessarily put it into an account because we knew she was going to utilize it. So she watched $100 bill break down. So she kind of got to see it really in her hands. Go, okay, this is not 100, and I'm getting back a few bucks here. So money well spent. She enjoyed it. She got to see the movie she wanted. She was excited. As a parent, did it hurt me that I asked my daughter to pay for it, or if she wanted to go, she should pay for it? Absolutely. It is so hard as a parent to have a child pay for anything, because you're just like, oh my gosh, I feel so bad. I could pay for it, but you know, there's money in the account. There's more than enough to pay for this going to the movies, and that's where it really feels bad. But at the same time, I'm not building that relationship with her for her to understand. the money, right? We are also quick to hand over the kids what they want and the desires of their hearts, right? If we have the money or if we can, or even if we can't, and they bug us enough, we'll fold. But in this case, it's a really good feeling to have mom and dad's money, mom's money, grandma's money, grandparents' money, whoever is taking care of the child, that they have that relationship with money, and it's a good relationship, and now they're teaching it to the children. I think the most disservice for myself was that my parents didn't discuss it with me. And, at the time when I was married, my husband didn't want to tell my kids about money. He kept saying, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And when do they worry about it? When it's too late? I think a child should start saving money as soon as they have a social security account, if you ask me. So it's like, but there is a time where we need to, educate them and tell them, yeah, this is where it goes. You want to see how much I spend on it? You want to see my money go? I'll show you. Showing them at an early age is really important, Miriam. And I just, being not only I want to say not the victim of it, but that it happened to me and growing up and I didn't understand it, really took me longer into well into my 30s, late 30s, where I took classes. I joined an organization that had, amazing classes that really taught me in my late 30s. It's kind of embarrassing, but in my late 30s is where I really started learning about money and how it worked. And now coming back and changing, my kids are adults now. So going back to them and saying, hey, I learned some things. Let's start fresh. And we still have time. You guys have time on your hands. And then going back to my youngest and saying, hey, let's put some things in place and experimenting with her, right? I have had 5 kids. So definitely each one has been different in their relationship with money. So definitely starting something with Clara, my youngest at 8 years old, and having watching her have that relationship with money, because I know that sometimes we put the fear in kids when we have bills, when we have debt. That's I see a lot of parents that have debt, and it's overwhelming, and they bring fear to money. And what happens is they transfer that to their children. Now their children have a fear of money. I can say, for example, one of my daughters, when we were going through a hard time, one of my daughter had anxiety about mom and dad's money. We were homeless, we
Wow.
had a house, everything like that, but my husband kept talking about money, and we don't have money, and we don't have money. Well, we didn't have money for the kids to do what they wanted, but we were okay. And then she just came with an anxiety of, we don't have money. Oh my gosh, and from that, she has her own walk with money, I'll say. But I think exposing them to an early age, teaching them about money, the more you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. And I want to explain to everyone today, this is where it's such a disservice in our educational society, our educational system, is that they're not teaching the kids money. If this is such a big factor of what, and I'm not saying obsession over money, I'm just saying depreciation, compound interest, how to grow it, how everything, credits, debt, everything that you were saying. If they would teach them at a young age, then, oh man, well, we know how the government would feel about that, but we would definitely would feel good about it. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
That is very salient points. Now, just to let you know, all of you viewers, those who are viewing now or those who will be viewing, um, at a later time, if you are interested in getting one-on-one, getting a little bit more about how to do this thing, how to budget, how to from the the very minute ideas, Jen and I will definitely create the atmosphere on one of our social media platforms to have you there personally going through those different aspects. So if it's 10, 15, even if it's 5, we can house you and then you can ask specific questions. So we are here to assist you in the budgeting aspect, in taxation. We are here for you because the more you learn is the more you will be able to assist others Share what you learn so others will be edified and we will be helping each other on this journey. Because look, just looking back at 10 years old when I had my little account, and I still have the little. I'm so excited. I know maybe I don't even know how much is in there. It's not much because it wasn't being funded really, but I'm so happy that the legacy that's coming from way back then, thanks to my uncle David Granville, who piloted that. And although a little fear, you're a thief, but it helped in the long run for to let it stay there, delayed gratification. Now, growing up, I know I learned how to manage money, the little I have, and I have a good sense of a good relationship with money, not living in the sense of being depleted, or in the sense of, oh, I don't have, because what I know, if we keep saying we don't, then it runs farther away from us. So what we do, let me see what I have, how I can manage paying the bills, making sure that I have a little, even if it's, some of us don't have enough to save 10%, but whatever little, start from
Right.
somewhere. Once you get yourself, in a little balance, then you'll be able to save a little bit more. But once you start having that relationship with money, you'll definitely see how you can build your nesting eggs. So start from that little kid, then, and now we are working on the college
Yeah.
area. Back over to you, Jen.
Awesome. And yes, in college, ooh, it can be so expensive, can it? And some people have prepared while others haven't, and or others, didn't, and they're really relying on FAFSA or state, if federal government, all kinds of ways that they can fund the college, right? That of choice for their child. So no matter what walk you're at, for me, my son went to, he took the military route, right? He's a nurse now. He decided to go to the Navy and go, go that route so he wouldn't have any, debt when it came to college, and that was what he wanted to do. I'm not saying everybody's going to go to that, but that's one way that people can pay for their college. Now, when somebody is in college and you're saving and budgeting while you're going to college, there are some things to do. Again, going back to sheltering the kids too much so they don't have a job when they go to school. I know it's because, a lot of us want them to pay attention, be there, and make sure that they're present and they're getting good grades, which are great, right? And they're really important. At the same time, we also have to teach our kids balance, right, between going to school and working. And bringing in money as kids go to school is important because nowadays there are so many jobs out there that you can balance both college and work because of the fact that you can set your own schedule. There's many jobs out there that you can work remotely from, or you can even make your own schedule, right? You can go out there and be a little entrepreneur, do different things. A lot of 1099 jobs that you can go out there and just be your own boss, at the same time bring in some side hustle money to help with your college. Budgeting, I've heard so many people that they lived off of top ramen and cup of noodle and stuff like that. You'll hear that, right? We don't want to necessarily do the kids like that. We want them to have a good health, right, Miriam?
That's
We
right.
want to have good health. You don't have to take that route. But what I do know is when you're going to college, right, and you're coming out with this extreme debt, the first thing I would say is that before your kids even go to college, sitting down with a professional, right? There are different investments out there that you could look at. Even as a child, remember the investments that you're showing your child grow. As I said early on, there should be a savings account, but there is an account out there that should be growing. You can discuss with your kids if that's going to be for college, whatever that's going to be for, but you want that account growing. The other thing is when you're sitting down with your kids and you're getting ready for college, you shouldn't sit down with someone right before they go to college. You should be sitting down with someone a few years before they go to college. And this is along the lines of budgeting, but it's also along the lines of preparing, right? Give me 1 second, Miriam, and I'm going to let you take this away while I pull out my charger from Vegas to charge my computer. I
Okay,
apologize, but if you could take that away, we're talking about that college part. Okay,
sure,
thank you.
sure. Okay, while Jen returns, I'll just read the comments. Dr. Bartlett says this method will help them tremendously when they start college. And she said, agree, spending their own money will teach them to spend wisely. They will make a few mistakes, but will eventually get it, not to waste it. Very good. Anne Marie says, she said she let her 3 kids open savings account at a tender age. And her daughter is the best accountant where money is concerned. She always been saving anything she gets. And that's a fact. Princess Jamelia, she is back home they'll call her a miser, but she's not a miser. She spends money wisely. Awesome. So starting from a tender age, we see with Queen Marie, her daughter and her son, they have an account. And just a couple days ago, Marie was here with Princess Jamelia, and she asked her daughter to assist her with few dollars, and the daughter had money she could lend to her mother. So these are, it may seem simple, but these are principles that will help throughout life, because we will not be staying in the same stage. We will be going through different seasons of life. So now we're at the childhood, now we're transitioning to college. This is how we take what we've learned and transition. So that's how we're prepared for college. Our children are prepared for college. We did not just sit down when it's time that they're in their the last semester of high school, then we're thinking, okay, college, as if it just came up overnight. But no, it's planning, putting things in perspective. And of course, if you start late, as Jen spoke about, she started having a better relationship with money in her 30s. I know someone, one of my mentors, he learned to read at age 21. So he learned to read at age 21. You're learning about money, the relationship with money. You're building a relationship with money at age 30. But he just started learning to read at 21. However, because of that mindset, because of that wealth mindset, and the idea that he wants to learn, he did not just stop there. He developed, and he's now one of our mentors who is teaching us about life and about life happenings and how we can take care of everything. James McNeil, how he uses that time at age 21, and now he is one of the gurus who teach other entrepreneurs, teach other business builders and Fortune 500 how to manage
Awesome.
wealth. So it's not when you start, but is what you
Yeah.
do with what you have at the time you start, and how it propels you into the next best version of
Yes,
yourself.
absolutely. And thank you. I appreciate everybody for your your patience as I ran to my bags from Las Vegas to find my charger. So I appreciate you guys.
Before you continue, Sister Paulette Sylvester, she said, I wish we had this forum when I was
You
younger.
know what? That's our
But
mission.
Sister Paulette, you can teach others with what you have learned, so others will be edified from this. Thank you for your
Absolutely.
contribution. Over
Thank
to
you.
you, Jen.
And that is both Miriam and myself mission. Miriam has a business partner. Her name is Sandra. And Sandra has that teaching the youth. And you know what? It's never too late to get information, whether you are sitting down with Miriam, myself, and get the information so that you can start this in your own community, in your own well, first your family, your community, and let's spread this because it's never too late, right? We wish we had it. I wish I had it when I was younger too, Paulette. Believe me. I mean, a lot of things would change, but going back to my kids that are already adults and saying, "Hey, there's some things that I learned. I want you guys to implement in your own accounts, in your own savings, in your own budgeting." My kids love it because mom, we need to go over my finances. We need a budget, mom. And I love it because when I was starting out as a professional, a financial professional, hey, I got to practice on my own kids, and that was, of course, those are my first clients, those are my first babies, those, you know what I mean? So you come to it and I absolutely love what I do because people are walking away empowered. They're walking away feeling good, walking away feeling like there's a future, right? It's not all bad. It is good. And the more you know about money, how it works, when you're budgeting, whether you're budgeting or whether you're investing, it's a good feeling to know that, hey, I have some things in order. So that's what we wanted to talk about. Is definitely, and I agree, Paulette. Let's teach everyone we can. Send this out to somebody about finances and sitting down with people and just understanding it. But going back to college, what I was saying before I had to go get my charger is that when you're in college too, a couple years prior to college, it's making sure things are in order too, because parents don't realize that they can do things with their money and shift things around to help their children get certain things, get certain scholarships, to get certain things in order, right, to make sure that their children get the best. So there are things as a parent you can do too, and as a child that they can do. So making sure now college and budgeting, they're going to, when they come out of college, whether or not they're working in college or not, but when they come out of college, they're going to have some debt. I sit down with a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
that are 40, 50, 60 that still have that debt going with them. It follows them around and they absolutely hate it because it never goes down, it never goes away. It's this gray cloud. And some of you know what I'm talking about. And it's okay to say, hey, that's me, because I think a lot of people they walk around and they don't want anybody to know they have like $100,000 in school loans, right? And they're in their 50s or 60s. It's not something that you're proud of. But if we can teach the kids when they get out of school, and here's the thing, when they graduate, you have kids that are going to come out and they're going to make money they never seen before. You're also going to have kids that come out that they're not going to have a lot of money either, because what employers want experience. So it's going to take some time for them to build money, right? So you have all walks of life coming out of college. My suggestion is, if it's possible, to stay with mom and dad and go back maybe to the home and not have that debt, but affect like focus on paying off that debt before they get in the real world. It's going to help them, because what I see is a lot of times that they go out and they buy the house, they do that, but they haven't paid off their debt. It's already giving them in a bad habit, because now they're spending, now they're spending on buying a house, buying a car. All this stuff could have went to their student loan if they would have maybe stayed with mom and dad, or just not went and got into more debt, bought that house. My son and I love it because my son is my protege, right? He's the one I sat down with first and talked to him about money and the relationship. He still had student loans and he still had debt coming out. Even though he went to the military, he did have some of that. But what we did is we came up with a plan, and I had a debt snowball calculator. You can look that up online. A debt snowball calculator. And what this is going to do is help you see how fast, by adding more money to your debt, how fast you can really pay something off. Again, earlier I talked about, we got to get excited about paying off debt and growing money. And so when you're sitting down with some, or when I'm sitting down with somebody and they're just like, oh, and I'm saying, hey, if you cut this out and you pay this towards this, it's going to, forget the coffees, pay off the student debt, forget going out, pay off the student debt. You're going to have to sacrifice some things to get you out of that debt, right? So my son focused on throwing. He made a lot of money. He became a nurse. He made a lot of money, and he was just throwing that money towards that. But he also has investments too. So I was said, hey, as long as you have your investments to place in place, throw the money at the debt, and then throw more money at your investments, because now you're debt free. You can throw it at your investments and grow your money too. So we came up with a strategy, and I'm happy to say that in the next couple, he's actually going to move in with me for a couple months. So he's like, Mom, I want to save this money for the next two months, like 20,000. And I said, hey, come home, stay a couple months, and get in order. Because I'm like, as long as you have the emergency fund along with buying a house, that sounds good. So hey, he's
Awesome.
coming home for a couple of months, but then he gets the boot. He has to go out there and do it for real. Um, go ahead.
So just to clarify, just to make sure that because I'm in school, I'm
Okay.
taking notes. Um, you talk about the debt snowball
Yep.
calculator, and you also talk about uh, viewers, make sure if mommy or daddy can house you, go home, stay there, pay down the student loan, and save up some money. Because as Jen rightly said, if you're saving money and you have debt, that's foolhardy. Pay down your debt, save the little, but you cannot have money in your savings account and you have your debt growing. It doesn't make sense, because remember, time value of money, that's what is the thing. The interest rate is growing higher, and you have a little savings account. That savings account is not really making much unless you have it in a high yield savings account. So young people, even older adults, if mama or daddy or a family member can house you and get your debt manageable, go and sit with them. Just go in the little room that they have and do your thing. Because if you're saving, there are a lot of my friends, they wish if they were able to stay home while they were either going to college or just left college, and save up a little money that they can, have a little windfall. But if you have that alternative, please take that. You'll be so happy. You'll have a little money saved, and your debt will be declining because you're paying down on your
Yes,
debt.
absolutely. Yeah,
Awesome.
go ahead. Sorry.
And just to give you a little bit more on the tax side, now because of AI, a lot of us as tax professional, if we don't retool, now a lot of tax professional will not have a tax business. But for myself, I retool, so I'm able to share, I'm able to represent clients at a higher level before the IRS. Now, if I'm just a tax accountant, just so you know that AI programs are being built, so they have all the line items on the W-2s, so you can just plug in because if it's a simple W-2, you can just plug in the numbers and voila, you get your refund, or you get your tax liability if you didn't pay enough tax. If you're a W-2 person. If you're self-employed, that's a little more ticklish, because they'll get your expenses and throw it in. AI will throw in all of that, and they will give you the bottom line. Oh, you owe 5,000 or whatever. So, as a tax professional or someone who is going to college and getting a little side gig, make sure that you retool every year. Make sure that your skill set, make sure that your craft, you're improving on your craft, so you are not left behind. So AI is just like before we have computers. For those people who just was pen and paper, they wouldn't have a practice, because pen and paper is out the window. Now ai is like ai is a next step up. So retooling, reinventing, and making sure that your skills are sharp, so you will not be left behind. Just throwing that
Yes,
out there.
absolutely. Absolutely. Well said. Well said. I love it. Yep. And I even leverage Miriam to, we're friends too. We're business associates, we're friends, and I even leverage her and I say, "Can you talk to my daughter? She's going into a 1099 position." One I'm not familiar with. So I leverage Miriam because I said, "I'd love for you to talk to her and let her know everything that she can write off in that field." And I'm in another field, so I can't give her all. I mean, I could give her some advice, but I know Miriam has a bird's eye view on all of that. So again, thank you, Miriam, for helping my daughter here. So that's the great thing of having the community of professionals around you, is that, again, you can leverage each other to help with your own family, right? And that's what we want to do for everybody on here too. Is anything that we know, we want to give you those tools so that you can go make those decisions for yourself and learn about them and see, and even in I was looking at some of the chats, and one Anne Marie says she has three kids open savings account, at a young age and stuff, and that's awesome. I love that. She's on it. She understands the importance of teaching them. So good for you. Um, the other thing I wanted to talk to you about was, I think we went over kind of the college and getting out, and like, if they can, because then they can really this debt snowball calculator is meant for anybody. Let me just tell you that, right? But if you sit down with your kids, and I have sat down with parents and the kids get excited. They're like, "Oh my gosh, I never knew this. This is awesome." Because again, even coming out of college, it doesn't mean that they're a finance major. And even finance majors don't come out knowing anything either, right? So we have talked to finance we've brought in finance majors into the business, and they can tell you that no, this isn't always being taught either in the college level. What I want to sit down is, I think it's a good idea to sit down with a professional with your children as well too, especially in college, so they can understand about money. If sometimes we get parent deaf, and oh yes, I hear this all the time, save money, do this, do that. I think sometimes when it gets like that, you guys, I think it's a good time to put them in front of a professional along with
Mhm.
you or by themselves. Okay. So when they come of age, they're 18 years old, hand them off to somebody that you can really trust, that can give them, hey, a sit down with it. And it's not their parents, because parent death happens. You tell them and you tell them until you're blue in the face, and we all know how that works, and then somebody comes along and tells your child, oh yeah, do this, and they're like, oh my gosh, I never knew that. And you and your partner are looking at each other like, we've said this ever since you were born. So parent death does exist. Make sure you get them with someone or sit down, and you guys can come up with a plan, so that he is on his way to paying off that debt and growing money at the same time. Because I don't want people to get in the habit of thinking when you pay off debt is a good time to start saving money. No, you should do both. It
Yeah.
just means that later on, when the debt is paid, you could put more towards the investment, but you want to do both at the same time. The other thing too is coming out of college. As they have their car payments and this and that, or different things that they might be doing, making sure that they have a budget, that they know what's coming in, what's going out, and they know when bills are due. I think that's one of the things that really helped me. And I had a stepdad that really helped me in this. God rest his soul. And he really said it's not only knowing your budget, it's knowing when they're due. So you really have to know when your bills are due, because how many times has this happened? Like, I got money in the account and it's the end of the month. Oh, I'm so excited. But you don't plan for the first of the month, all those bills that need to be paid, right? So making sure that you know when your bills are doing, and not getting too excited because you have money in the account because you're budgeting, that money is going to be there, right? We still have the first of the month coming, and we want to make sure. Sometimes that's heavy hitters, the first of the month. So you want to make sure, because what I see is people sometimes they overspend because they think they have money, and now they have put themselves back in this hamster wheel because of the fact that they weren't, looking at the time bills were due. I don't think you should obsess over your bills, but you should know what's coming up and when it's going to ding your account, so that's going to be healthy for you too. And then using that debt snowball calculator to get you out of debt quicker is something that you're going to want to definitely look at as you're paying bills, because we want to have light at the end of the tunnel. The other thing too is that I say when people have multiple bills, now this is kind of going into adulthood, right? When you do have multiple bills that you're paying, and this is what I see a lot, is that people will, okay, I'll make it very basic. I have three credit cards. They're all $50 each, and I'm paying $70 on each one, right? There's also a formula that will be like a snowball effect where you're like, I'm going to pay the balance on two of them. And the $20 I went over on the two is actually $40. I'm going to take the $40 and I'm going to throw it at the last credit card, right? So sometimes when we're just, the credit cards are working so much against us that sometimes that little $20 is not going to do enough, damage on that credit card to bring it down. So I always do this. I like to do the snowball effect. And some of you might know it's just putting as much money on one credit card as you can while the other two are doing, or three or whatever, are doing the minimum, right? And there's five, six, seven. I know people, I'm a professional. I sit down with people. Don't be embarrassed. I've seen 10 credit cards and we come up with a plan. And I go through a lot and I say, please stick with this plan. It took me a while to figure this out for you, but instead of 10 years, you're going to get it done in 3 years. So can we do that? And they're like, yes. So making sure you have that tool in your arsenal it's so important, because you want to make sure you have these different tools. We've talked about high yield savings account. We talked about emergency funds. We've talked about different things to put in place as you're budgeting. It is so important, right? So that's just another one, is I would say know when your bills are due. Now, some of us, when we budget, we're old school. We write it down on a piece of paper. That's me. Some of you guys are amazing. You have the spreadsheet, Excel, whatever the latest technology is. You're like punching it in. And I'm sitting there and I love it, because that's amazing and that you can do that. And my brain doesn't work that way. I get confused. I'm old school. So I still write it down on a piece of paper. One more thing, Miriam, or a couple things I want to add to that is you're adulting and you're coming into your adulting, and then we'll go to maybe when you're older and you have a fixed income, because now it might be just Social Security, it might be Social Security and a pension, but these are still all fixed incomes that are coming in. But when you're adulting and you have a lot when you're sitting down doing your budgeting, there's a couple things that I realize when people sit with me and they go, here's my paper, I have my budget, we're going to sit down and we're going to budget, and here's my paper. And then I realize I don't see your tags, I don't see your gasoline, how much you spend in the gas bill, how much it's you spend a month for gasoline, and I don't see eating out. I believe gasoline and eating out really take a chunk of your money, but you don't write it down because we don't think about it. We think about our fixed, kind of like our fixed bills, like this comes
Mhm.
every month, this comes every month. But gasoline and eating out and groceries have to be on that too, because I just talked to somebody and she gave me her thing, and she goes, I don't know where my money goes, and I looked at it and I said, well, it's not so much, yeah, you're right, you don't know where your money goes, but it's because you're not putting it down. So I encourage those that when you are budgeting your money, that you're putting down things that you don't normally put down. You don't put your gasoline, you don't put, prescription drugs, or you this or that. Like, you really have to get into detail when it comes to budgeting to understand where your money is going, right? So at this time and age, and I'm in my 40s, and Miriam's looking good. She looks like she's really young, but I just found out she's a little older. But she knows, we've talked. She knows when those bills are due too. So just coming into it, understanding that we have a few bills that are going to be in that budget. When you're writing it down and you're breaking it down, and you have, make sure you have the date. You always want to make sure you have the date so you know when it's coming out. And then you can look and you say, hey, towards the beginning of the month, it's heavy, I don't have any money. Towards the middle of the month, there's, hey, there's a little freedom. Towards the end of the month, I might have more freedom. But you got to see what's also coming. It gives you an idea of what's coming up, and then you get that habit, and then you know what's coming in, what's going out. Oh, it looks like I have money, but I know where it's going to go. So making sure you have that in place in your budget. You should always have an emergency fund. Even like if Miriam says, If you can only there's 10%, even if you can start with 1 2%, if it's $10 a month, it's this is a habit. If you're bringing in that habit into budgeting, if you're bringing in that habit into whatever you do, it gets better, it gets easier. You know what's going on with your money. You know if you have it, you should spend it or not, because you know what bills are coming up. And it just overall, it helps you. And now we're going to get into like, do you have any questions on that, Miriam, as adulting?
So
Um,
so I know the adulting is it's gonna take a chunk of our time, and I want to make sure that all of our viewers get something out of it. So we want to leave that part for our next meeting, which is next week, and then we can expand on it. But we have gotten a wealth of information today about starting from a child. Parents who are here, you can share those little with your children and start from somewhere. There is this adage, it's never too late for a shower of rain. And of course, rain in this sense is looking at prosperity. So wherever you are right now, whether it's 30 years old or 50, you can start right there. Start with the 1%. You may not have the 10%. You may say, I only have half a cent when I pay everything. But if you actually look at everything that is going in and out of that account, or everything that we're spending money on, we are actually not as we are richer, or we are wealthier than we think we are, once we start paying attention to how our money is working. Once we start having a better relationship with money, we'll actually see that our wealth will grow. Starting from the mindset, our mindset of wealth will expand, and then we'll be able to see. Just closing with this line from the Bible. I'll tell you where it's found after Jen speaks. The Word of God says, above all, I wish that you would prosper and be in good health, just as your soul prospered. Because our soul, we are already abundant. Our soul is already abundant, but we're getting information that physically we can put things in place so our soul and our body can move in the same direction, because God wants us to be prosperous in every area of our life. Over to you, Jen, with your last statement. I'll find that scripture to give you exactly where it comes from.
Amen. That was absolutely wonderful. And my final thoughts here, you know, I I believe that everybody should know about money, right? It's something that happens. It's something we always have. It's something that, we can't live without, right? It's just big a big deal. And to sweep it under the rug and act like it's not is not the way to go, or put your head in, bury your head in the sand. Education when it comes to finances and money and how it works is the most important thing that somebody can, do in their lifetime, is learn about it, and learn about it at a young age. Teach it, and teach it to those that need to know about it at a young age. I think my passion is teaching finance, because I think sometimes when you go into ministry, something's happened to you. Sometimes it's a hurt, and sometimes it's something that's happened to you in the past when you go into ministry, and you start helping other people. This is my ministry, because I was on the other end, and it happened to me where I just didn't understand about money. I'm still learning every day. I go to classes. It just astonishes me, the evolution of the financial world, and how so many things are changing, and they're bettering things. They're bettering products. They're just bettering things for the community, right? Um, Me and Miriam are talking about finances, talking about budgeting. We didn't talk about our health, if anything should happen, and having things in place for that too. But we talk about if we're in a perfect world and we're saving money. But we also have to think, if something should happen to me, then what is left behind? Or if something and I get sick, where do I pull that money from? And so we'll address that too. But right now, I just want to appreciate you all for joining us. And I also want to tell you, spread the word, go out there, get people either on this program or to sit down with us, because one, it's complimentary. Two, we want, this is our mission. Miriam is definitely on the path of teaching people and helping them with their taxes and helping them with learning about money. And that's what we want to do. That's our mission. So if you know anyone, send them here. And again, we're here to help. We're here to answer questions. And the one thing that I love of me and Miriam is that if we don't know the answer, we will get it for you. Okay. So know that you're in good hands, and we appreciate all of you coming on. And if there's anything that you can, anything that you see that we need to talk about, or if there's something that you want to know more information, just reach out to Miriam, and we can always address that on one of our lives. Okay, so be blessed. Glad to always have you guys here. And it's an amazing time that we're spending together with Miriam and all you guys together. So we appreciate you.
Awesome. Thank you, Jen. So the scripture comes from 3rd John 1, verse 2. It says, Beloved, I pray that in every way you may prosper and be in good health, just as your soul prospereth. So, as we said, our soul is already abundant. So, getting our mindset in that way, getting information and applying what we have learned will make us prosper. So, once again, thank you for sharing with us. This is another episode of Mindset Monday. Have a wonderful, blessed afternoon.